Today we are going to make this little car look like this. So this toy car was stored for a very long time. As you can see, it's very dirty, and the point on this video will be to put it back in shape and working. As you can see, it has a lot of different Phillips screws throughout the body. They are all rusted, so we are going to give it a test run to see how it is in terms of mechanic, because this is a Transformers car. It should be a car and a little robot. This is the controller, also very dirty. So let's then put some batteries in and see if we get some life out of it. So yeah, it does move, but it's not strong enough to pull all the way up. Let's give it a push. There it is. So this is how it looks like when it's transformed into a robot. And this is a car. And yeah, it's not moving the wheels. It should run back and forth, and it does not do that. So we will have to take a look into that as well. So let's start by opening up the controller. It has 4 Phillips screws that are very tight because this was never opened. This belonged to my brother and me, and it is around 40 years old if I'm not wrong. So this is what the inside looks like. It has a plastic joystick that pushes 2 copper tabs, and this is basically a polarizer switch, so it changes the polarity so the engines can go back and forth or up and down. So let's now try to understand why is it not running up and down with the wheels, and this is the controller that controls the wheels. As far as I can see, there are connections between the 2 points here. Yeah, I think the copper is just a little dirty. This one is working fine. So when the tabs are up, it turns off the motors. When the tabs push into the little ring on the bottom, they will start the engines. So let's take the car apart and take off all the Phillips screws, so we can then check the connections between the controller and the car. This is the wheel that turns the car around, so when it reverses, the wheel goes back and makes it do a curve. Then you pull it again, push it to move forward, and it turns around. So I will need to pull this out to reveal the engine bay. This is the first time I'm opening a toy like this, and I need to take special care because the plastic may be brittle and break. So let's do the things calmly so we don't break anything. So with the back removed, let's see if we have connections between the wiring. So the first white wire, it doesn't seem to have a connection. It should beep, and it's not beeping. Yeah, either the wire is broken or the connection, it's not clean enough to do a connection. Yeah, as you can see, the red wire beeps straight away, but the white wire does not. So this means we have a problem between the controller and the engine on the white line side. Just for the sake of it, let's test the other points that make the car transform. And they both connect. So definitely we have an issue on the white wire. So let's take the rest of the car apart to clean it and also to remove the engines from their bay. So with the body separated from the rest of the car, let's then take this part fully apart so we can then wash it and clean it. So now let's try to figure out how will we take these two out. Firstly, I will remove the wires. The yellow wire broke in the meantime, so let's just remove the other three wires. I will put some flux on the connections, then come with the hot iron to remove them. Unfortunately, I zoomed in and I forgot to put it on the center, but basically you put a little bit of flux on the connection, then just touch it with the hot iron, taking care not to melt the plastic around it, and then unsolder the wires. So let's just take a look if we manage to remove the wheels. We need to take this lid out. and it doesn't seem that the wheel is removable. This ring is either glued or soldered, so I'm not able to pull these wheels out. So if one of those wheels break, I mean the white ones, it will be a pain to remove this. So let's try with a plier to see if it budges. It does not. So I'll just call it quit on this because I cannot remove the wheel. Let's just leave it as is. So the motors, I'll just slide them out. I think, yeah, this one came out. And this one, it's not coming out. So I just think that I need to slide it out because it has a plastic holding it in place. So yeah, let's try that. And there we go, easy peasy. As I don't have a power supply, I'll just use a 9-volt battery to see if the engine does anything. Yeah, it's working. It's working fine. Let's just test the other one as well. It's also working, but a little noisy. I will just put some silicone spray on it when I assemble the car back. This should take care of the noise. This noise is usually just the rotor inside that is a bit dirty, and it does this noise. So let's now remove the batteries from the controller to test the connections and see if we do have a broken wire or a bad connection on the white line. So the white is not connecting at all. Let's just move the wiring around to see if we have a broken wire somewhere inside this main cable. And yeah, as you can see, we have a broken connection there. So we need to cut the wire. So I'll just make a little mark on the wire to know where to cut. I will now need to disassemble the control fully and unsolder the wires. As usual, using a bit of flux and a hot iron to remove the old solder. So with that done, let's now clean all the plastics with hot water and soap detergent. This is the same that we washed the dishes, so it's safe for plastic. We need to give it a good scrub. Let's then put it aside on the microfiber cloths for them to drip out. And then we will use clean water to rinse and put them out on the sun to dry out. While it dries out, let's clean the contacts with some vinegar, followed by some IPA, so that we can have clean contacts to make a proper connection. I will be using a little brush to remove this corrosion. Do this with gloves if you have them. I didn't have any, so I just used my bare hands, but this dries out the skin, so be aware of that. So with the cleaning done, let's dry them on a bit of paper. And now let's use some IPA to clean the rest of them so that the vinegar evaporates with the IPA. With all the cleaning done, let's then cut the wire and prepare this same wire to solder on each of the connections that we have. Let's just make sure we have enough size so that this is properly fitted on the controller as well. So let's now double test all the wiring to see if we have a connection in all of them. So yeah, I struggled a little bit with the connections because the other ends of the cable are a bit dirty, but they are all okay. So let's now desolder all the wires on the broken end and solder the new ones straight away so we don't get lost. And with that done, let's clean our screws so that they don't look like they have tetanus on them. I'll use this brush to clean them up. And now let's thin the ends of the wires on the other side that were a bit dirty, so that we can solder them properly on the little motors. We will also need to thin this connection here for the battery. And we will also need to thin the connections on the motors. So let's reassemble everything back in place. The connections on the controller. We need to push them in a bit hard and with a pair of pliers to bend them so they don't leave their place by accident. Now we will reassemble everything back in place. Just make sure, if you ever do this or a similar project, to take a photo of everything before you remove anything. Otherwise, you will not be remembering where all the wiring goes. So it may be confusing. So let's now solder the wiring in place. So with all the ends tinned, it's much easier for us to connect the wires. So with everything assembled, let's now test the connections between both ends of this wire to make sure when we connect them to the car, we will have a moving car and a transforming car, not just a transforming car. So these ones are working. This green one, sorry, this white one. Again, it's not working. So what is wrong with it now? Everything is properly done. Let's test the other wire. I think it's the green. No, it's still the white. Still the white. Yeah, there's something wrong with it still. It's either still not properly cleaned or still broken somewhere. But let's move on and see the other ones as well. So this red one needed a bit of clean. It was not soldered properly, but let's give it a test to see if it beeps. It does beep. Let's retest the white wire to see if we manage to get a connection now. And there it is. Yeah, it's working. I think it's just a little bit dirty on the end. So let's now resolder this red wire that broken loose while we were assembling it. Let's make sure we have a connection between both ends of the red one. We do have a connection. This white wire is very stubborn. Let me give it a little clean with the hot iron to see if it helps. So let's try that again. And there we go, finally. So let's assemble the engine bay, put all the screws in, make sure it's tight, and then we will start the process of reassemble the whole vehicle. So for now, let's put the wiring on the correct positions here. Same process, put flux in the places and then use a hot iron to put it together. . With all the connections done, let's put some batteries on the compartment and see if the vehicle moves. Yes, we do have life on it. Excellent. So let's now start the process of putting it back together to test it. So before we assemble the vehicle fully, let's grease these wheels so that they last for a very long time after we assemble the vehicle. I will be using a cotton bud with some Vaseline on it. It's more than enough. Just make sure to put a lot of it where you can reach, so then it spreads out when the wheels turn. So let's give it a test. It screams a lot. I need to put some lubricant on the little engine that takes care of up and down. We have it running back and forth as well. Excellent. So the little car is working. Ah, não digas que os filhos berraram. And there it is. We have a working car. It will last another 40 years hopefully, and it will give some joy to my kids. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe the channel, and I will see you on the next one.
Vai vir atrás dele.